Neil, a defeat, albeit a very narrow one today. What was your take on that?
Yeah, listen, I asked the lads for a performance, a response from the last half an hour of last week. We came in here with a lot of setbacks, a lot of players unavailable for different reasons, a very thin squad, but I thought the boys that were out on that pitch today gave it a right go. Their keepers had to make some good saves. Probably the first goal was the most disappointing part of the game because it's something we've worked on second phase. Second goal you can't do much about, it's a great free kick. But by and large, the boys have had a right go.
Obviously, we touched on the defending last week in that second half, but how pleased were you with the defending on the whole today? Because at times there was some heroic bits of defending, throwing bodies on the line. It was much better, wasn't it?
Yeah, I asked the lads to just dig in for each other and fight for each other, And I've said before, and I said to the lads, you can look at form, you can look at where we are in our form in the last 6-8 games and the points we've picked up or the points we've lost. The games that got cancelled probably killed us because we had home games that we felt were winnable to carry on some momentum into this, but because we never had them games, the next 2 games after our win at Oldham in the league was always going to be Wrexham home and away. So it looks worse than it is. We've now got a run that in January and February, probably 15 games in January and February, that by the end of February we're going into the last 9 games of the season, and that's where our season needs to be defined. By the end of January and February we need to be in a position to be in and around the playoffs challenging, because Wrexham are a group of men, powerful, strong men, and we didn't make too many errors today, but what we did we got punished for.
Obviously, you touch on the run coming up. How much positive can you take from that performance this afternoon?
Yeah, that's all we can focus on is the performance. I'm a big believer. We crunch numbers. Our performance is guided by numbers, and them numbers are chances we create, clear-cut chances, expected goals compared to the opposition. Today we had a right go. A strong team has come out on top. I think if we play that way 8 out of 10 times against different teams that aren't Wrexham, we'd probably win the game. So, we've got to look beyond the 2 results against Wrexham. We've got to look beyond the league position a little bit and say, okay, we've got 2 months now that's going to put us in a position going into the last 9 games of the season, and hopefully put us in a position where we're in the playoffs fighting and trying to have an exciting end to the season.
I think, if I'm correct, it was Bart who popped up with that goal at the end. Do you have any sort of update on his status at the club? I know it was only a real sort of month's loan initially. Any status on that?
Yeah.
And how pleased are you
Yeah,
to get a goal?
Bart's one that we want to extend for another month, and the problem Bart's had is he would have had more game time had the games not been cancelled. He's cup tied for the trophy game, so we couldn't play him in them games either. So Bart's had a little bit of a frustrating time, but we want to keep him for a month, because this month and the playing time that he will get will define whether Bart can help us move forward, and that's what we want to do, so that's the plan.
And you touch on the sort of setbacks that we've had. I mean, I'm sure the fans will be keen to know the likes of Joseph Barr, Jamie Osborne, Ethan Vaughan, any closer on any of those?
Yeah, so Jamie Osborne is a big blow. He was part of his rehab, trying to work and get his fitness up, and he's torn his thigh. So Jamie Osborne's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks, which is a big blow. Joe Sabara is trying everything he can to get himself fit, but he's where he got maimed in the game against Telford. He's back of his ankle swollen up, and he's not quite there. But we'll see whether he's a week, 10 days, 3 days. Who knows? It's just how we can get that settled down. Ethan Vaughan will be hopeful back by the back end of this week before the Southend game. Kelleher wasn't available, so it looks like there's a chance that he's not going to be available for a bit. I think that with Storer's 4-game suspension, it's all a bit happened at the same time. Even yesterday we trained with no goalkeepers because both Ryan Boot and Louis Moldham were off sick. So Booty's got off his sick bed to come and play, so has Louis to come on the bench. So it was all a little bit, backs against the wall a little bit today. But if we can just get everybody through this period, and like I say, next 2 months, we need to try and find some form and try and have an exciting end to the season.
We keep touching on that period. Just finally, how much are you looking forward to that period as a manager? I know obviously it's a tight schedule, but I suppose, like you say, this is the period that's going to define the season, isn't it?
Yeah. I look forward to all the games. What we've got to do is get these players in a place where they're playing well and they're confident and they're scoring and they're winning games. Obviously 2 defeats on the trot against Wrexham. can sometimes knock that. So we've got to try and build them back up. But Southend away is going to be really tough. We know that they're above us in the league and they're a strong team. So we've just got to try and get the performances right and try and get the results to follow. It's what we worked on last season. It was our mantra last season and it worked. There's loads of things that can stop you winning games of football, and we've got to get these boys in a place where they believe they can win every time they go on the pitch.